Colonel Joshi, thank you ever so much. It has been an honor and a privilege to be on this absolutely distinguished panel, to have heard the moving accounts of Captain Surinder Sethi, Admiral Mohan. So meaningful, so moving, so heroic. I really salute the Navy, which is a second home to my mother, to me and my sister, even today. I speak from my mother's heart, whatever I'm saying right now. I've often wondered what made my father go down with his ship. Was it an archaic tradition of the Navy? Did he actually want his name enshrined in the annals of naval history? I don't think any of that is true for him. He was a man, for him this was the only thing he would do, because it was the right thing to do. My father was not a penny in a slot hero. It was created because of the sinking of Kukri. He was a hero from the day he was born, through his childhood, through his growing up years. And I would like to say that along with the torpedo that hit Kukri in 1971, on the 9th of December, our innocence of childhood also got blown apart. I can never forget my little sister, how she would lay out his uniform, thinking he would come back if she did it, putting his little medals and his epaulets on. And I honestly believed that he would return. But that was not to be. In fact, I will never forget that at the time, my uncle, Mr. R.N. Kaul, who was the head of the RAW, we asked him, why can't he bring Papa back? And he said that you don't disturb a sleeping battleship. And in any case, we did not have the wherewithal for all that at that time. The tragedy is that there never was a closure in our lives as far as our father was concerned. I will never forget that I kept thinking when I got married that he would come back, because I had seen too many Hindi films like Avishkar, where the father returns. He didn't, but it's so interesting that 3 survivors of the Navy, sailors, they walked in with a small toaster on which was inscribed, survivors of the Kukri. And they said, we are your father. And to me, he had come back because the men that he had saved came back on the day of my wedding. What I would like to say is that my father was a brilliant lawyer. He had never done law, but there used to be a caravan of sailors who would come into our home asking for justice, and he would fight all their cases. He was like, I would say he was like an informal JAG of the Navy for the sailors, and he'd bring them justice. He was a deeply spiritual man. He meditated, and he made us believe so deeply in the diversity of religion. And he said that every religion has something important for mankind. And that has been instilled in us from a very, very young age. He was a great lover of books. The first book he gave to me was when I was 12 years or 11 years old. Before that, he'd given many, but this particular book was the Rubai of Umar Khayyam. And he wrote in it, to thine own self be true, and then it must follow as the night the day, and then thou canst be false to any man. I remember it. And he said to me, you better learn these quatrains by heart within a week. Till today, I remember those quatrains of Umar Khayyam. Whether it was Chaucer or Coleridge or any of the, or even Kalidas, he was continuously handing books for reading. I will never forget that the last letter he wrote to me, which came from the Fleet Mail Office, I had written to him saying, I was in boarding school, and I'd written to him saying that, Papa, the food here is fit for the worms. He wrote back saying, my dear worm, I think it's excellent training. Because when half or more than half of our country is starving, because we were at a very difficult time in India at that time. I don't see why you're complaining about food. And then I wrote to him saying that, Papa, they don't allow us to go to the mall. And he said, I think that is wonderful. There is no reason where misguided young women promenade up and down the mall wearing strange clothes. He also said that I'm glad that you're kept far from the maddening crowd of its ignoble strife. These are his words. I've learned them by heart because he made me memorize things. And he also said, remember, these are the formative years of your life. This is all in the letter. These are the formative years of your life, and their impact and impress will affect you till the day you are an adult. If you fritter away your life in unfruitful and unhealthy pursuits, laughter and love will never come. This is the inexorable law of karma to us Hindus. He wrote that. And along with that, he wrote, please remember that I have not used any slang. I expect you to write and speak in this manner. He was a very interesting man. As my sister mentioned, he was a disciplinarian. And he believed that people should invite you to birthday parties and you should not take gifts. I don't think we were very popular. Because when we would go to a birthday party, we had to go and say, hello, I'm here because you like me, not because you want my gift. Because he believed that you should be known not for what you have, but for what you are. And I think these are all lessons for young people today, with the obsession with competition and materialism that we see in our lives. You know, people have a lifetime with their fathers or with their mothers. I just had about 14.5 years. But every song I sing, every sher or shairi that I do, the language that I use, be it Urdu or English or Hindi, has been absolutely embedded in me through my father. And I think that influence is going to take me over time. Because even today, when I think of him, I think of the fact that he was also a great actor, because when he was in Staff College in Wellington, he took over the part of Henry Touchard, who was a villain. And I would never forget that all the mothers, he was so realistic as a villain, that when the children used to trouble the mothers in Uti, in Staff College, used to say, be quiet, Mullah is coming. And the children would keep quiet. That's how realistic he was in whatever he did. So I'd like to there's so much I can say, but I don't want to eat up time. There's so much to learn from the wonderful panel that is here. The stories have moved me deeply. All I want to say is, I imagine him now, sir. I imagine him striding purposely through that vast void of space. As his words reach out to me, the last words of his letter, which I think was a premonition of his death, and he wrote to me saying, let not your dreams transform into nightmares. Remember the honor of the mullahs. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Captain Surinder Sethi. Thank you, everyone who's here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And thank you, Ms. Anjali Mulla Kaul and Ms. Ameeta Mulla Wattal. I see Sanjeev Wattal also there amongst the audience. Acknowledgement, you being there. And it was very, very moving account. I wish we could say something more, could convey something more, but it was wonderful. You are part of our family, the Armed Forces family, and it is wonderful having you abroad today. And
Colonel Joshi, there's one small thing I'd like to just say to you, that both my sister and I, we have two life boys with us. They have the paint, the blood, the sweat, and the tears of that night, and they adorn our homes. So whenever I have to face a challenge, I just have to touch it, and I know that my father is with me. Thank you, sir.